women think of capital as a noun and men think of it as a verb. And I cannot stop thinking about this concept. It was Eleanor Bean with Sappy Media. I have to give her full credit for it. But it was this idea for women, capital sits in our bank. It's in our savings. It's in our business savings account for a rainy day, just in case things don't work out. And it just sits there on the chance that things might not work out. Whereas for men, capital is an investment. Going to launch a new app, going to invest in a platform, going to hire, going to invest in some new technologies. So they deploy capital, and women, for us, it's a noun. So I think that is a big difference. That is to a bit of a detriment to women because we aren't inclined to take business risk.
Passion, inspiration, determination. Are you ready to jump into a better life? Welcome to our program, Jump Into It.
Prosper with purpose.
Welcome to Jump Into It, a podcast to help you prosper with purpose. Today on Jump Into It, we're joined by Johanna Voss, a fractional COO, a business strategist who helps female founders scale their business through stronger systems, operations, and sustainable growth. Joanna works closely with entrepreneurs to help them move from overwhelm and chaos with clarity, structure, and smarter scaling. We're excited to dive in to her entrepreneurial journey, leadership insight, and what it really takes to build a business that can grow successfully. Welcome, Joanna.
Thank you. Thanks. Fabulous to be here. I'm super excited for our conversation.
I am too. And can we start with first explaining what CO is and your journey that got you to where you are today?
Absolutely. I love talking about this because I feel like it is one of the things, sort of lessons and themes I always talk about as an entrepreneur and things to pay attention to. So COO is the Chief Operating Officer. So I do fractional COO work, which means I am brought in sort of as a part-time COO to different companies who may be not ready to have a full-time or just dipping their toe into getting some help beyond like the team that's gotten them as far as they have. And so I will come in and help build out strategy, like operations, SOPs, planning, team development, leadership development, all those sort of things. So that's what I do. And I got here by like just kind of following the breadcrumbs. You hear people often say, do what you love to do, and you'll never work a day in your life again. Well, that is not true. You will work very hard. But the part that I want to talk about is the like, do what you love to do. And the flip on that is, what is something that people are always asking you about? Like, what is it that other people see in you that you're really good at? Because that may be the thing if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, launch your own company, start your own business, and you're like, oh, I don't really know what to do. That could be the thing that I would say lean into, because that's what happened to me. So before becoming an entrepreneur, I had zero plans, zero hope, zero desire to be an entrepreneur. I was living in Barcelona, Spain. I had backpacked around the world for a year, was teaching English, hated it, needed to make more money, and just wanted to like kind of use my brain and be a contributing part of society and just like kind of, earn more money and just do more things, because I had been working and traveling for a few years. And so I took an online nutrition course, became a certified nutrition coach, would line up all my clients on the weekends when I was living in Barcelona, and I would Skype with them all. That tells you how long ago this was. It was 15 years ago. So I would Skype with everybody. And there weren't as many business masterminds and coaches and just resources available literally at our fingertips as there are right now. And so I had to figure a lot of stuff out. So I would create these coaching programs and I would market them mostly on Facebook, because that was basically the social media then. And I would make these videos and upload them to YouTube. I had no idea how I edited them. I probably didn't even edit them. I probably just winged it and put it up, because I don't even know what software was out there. This was like 2011, maybe 2012. And so I would just create these things and I would figure it out. And I started having other online entrepreneurs that I knew. I didn't know a ton, but I knew a few who would just say, hey, how'd you do that? How'd you create this program? How'd you figure all this out? And they'd always ask me to help, and I would always say yes, because I love doing that sort of work. I would get paid, maybe not that much, but I never did it for the money. It was just like, oh, this is easy for me. And that's where I learned that people who go into business do it so that they could do the art of their business, no one wants to like get into the weeds on their business, right? Most business people are like, oh, I don't want to talk numbers or operations or systems. They're like, oh God, right? Their eyeballs roll back in their head. And I love that kind of stuff and like project management of things. And okay, you want to launch a new ebook or a new course or a new program. I would automatically just be working backwards on, okay, well, this has to happen before this, and you got to do this before that. And this is probably going to take you this long. Like that's just how my brain operates. And so I would, like I said, have people ask me what to do, how to do it. I would help them. And that over time grew to where I realized in about 2015 that I was like, oh, that's actually way more lucrative than the nutrition coaching that I was doing. It was on the side. So if you met me, I never talked about it. I would always talk about being a nutrition coach. And I had this moment where I thought, what if I just flip my website copy? And what if I just flip what I talk about? Because maybe there's something there. And so I did. And then if you met me at that point in time, I started talking about, it wasn't even called Fractional COO. It was just like, I probably just said, I'll help you with your business. I don't even know. But just very basically spoke to like the things that I did, which I knew entrepreneurs needed. And that part of my business took off. I started having a bunch of clients on retainer. I loved the work. It was much more ongoing. I really got to like roll my sleeves up and be a part of, people's projects and launching things and being behind the scenes on stuff. And so that's the part there is like following the breadcrumbs, because I could have just always dismissed that part of people asking me to help them with a certain thing that it's so easy for stuff that comes naturally to us just to be like, oh, that, like, man, I sure, just very dismissive of it. But I am so grateful I had that moment. I just have such clarity around where I was when it happened of, wait a second, this is actually a thing. Like people need this help and I'm good at it and I enjoy doing it. So yeah, that's how I got into being what's now called a fractional COO. And I've been doing this work as an entrepreneur for 15 years.
So yeah, the idea of fractional is fairly new, I think, in the marketplace, but it's really around being able to leverage somebody's expertise on a part-time basis, because that's all small businesses really need. Yep. They don't have the deep pockets to pay full-time for somebody very senior, and nor is there really a demand for it as well. So I think, this is really great for, the expertise you offer. Also in marketing, we do it as well, is to be able to jump in to really help the businesses accelerate at their growth, where businesses tend to, you focus on your core competencies and take care of the rest. And that gives them the peace of mind. And it also gives them that extra expertise to really scale. Now, what do you think are the biggest challenges for entrepreneurs? What are they struggling with today when it comes around operational?
Oh, gosh. Well, the clients that I've had the privilege and joy of working with, they're all, I wouldn't even say small, they're all tiny, as in one woman shows, maybe they have a VA, maybe they have a couple fractional hires for a CFO, or maybe they've done project management hire, like a project-based hire for marketing or something. It all lives in their head. Why do you need to write it down if there's no one else to look at it? So a lot of the stuff just lives in their head, which doesn't allow you to grow and scale. You start bringing on new team members, even if honestly it's a VA or an executive assistant or someone part-time to just help with execution or maybe client delivery or even just like some admin on the back end. Having SOPs, which are those just like literally your standard operating procedures written down out of your head, that's one of the biggest challenges, is it just lives inside people's minds. And I think part of that is that from those moments, what I see when clients bring me in to work with them is before you're able to get it out of your head and put it somewhere else externally so that it lives somewhere else, so long as it is inside your head, you are building the entire framework of your company around you, which makes it very hard to extract yourself. Which means, I know there's a lot of conversations around, entrepreneurs bottleneck themselves. And to me, a bottleneck isn't the right word, because you can just, it's bottleneck. You can just clear out whatever's damming the thing up. But in the case like this, when the whole architecture and the whole construction of the company has been built around the dependence on one person, it's a lot harder then to rewire and reorganize and restructure everything. So even just having SOPs built outside of you and having it exist somewhere else besides just in your head, it is a great first step, I think, to helping have people not build everything literally just on their shoulders.
And you can delegate if you don't have it kind of written out as a process or a system. And then that's where entrepreneurs really struggle and they cripple themselves from growing, is because they do it all the time and they don't know how to instruct other people. There's the trust factor. But I know even with my business is that, having to release control, it's about selecting the right people. It's about training. But as you said, is that what is it that you want them to do? The task to talent, what skills do you need that piece in order to be successful? So what you said is all so awesome. Now, can you provide me with a little bit more tangible examples of how a small business would reach out? So what verticals do you specialize in? What are the things that you most commonly step in to do, and steps that you get there to do it?
Yeah. So I work with female founders and female CEOs. I am all service-based. So coaches, consultants, financial planners, membership communities, lawyers, that has been the sort of by default and now by design, the lane that I have been in. A lot of just like online personalities. So people who have built out a community online, maybe they have in-person events, maybe they have a membership community, maybe they do, a monthly virtual thing, maybe they have a book club as part of the, the brand, but they have a personal brand. Like take Brene Brown, for example. I haven't worked with her, but I'm just using her as a, great example. She's got her book, she's got her speaking, she's got her research, she's called into being an advisor on companies. So that sort of company, that's all service-based. I know she has her book, but for the most part, she's providing a service. Those are the companies that I love working with. It's all people find me. How do people find me? Through word of mouth. LinkedIn, my Substack, and honestly, I have people reach out to me from ChatGPT. I don't know what they're searching for. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
So your content is being pulled in from AI. And
so I do a pretty good job of SEO. I've been leaning into GEO. So it's funny because people will message, I always ask, how did you find me? Or like, who referred you to me, just so I can thank them. Like I always want to be grateful for that. And I had someone a couple of weeks ago who she's like, I'm really embarrassed to tell you, but it was ChatGPT. And I'm like, oh, you're literally the second person this week who said that. Like, that's not something to be embarrassed about. And I'm like, that's actually kind of cool. I'm like, what did you ask ChatGPT? Like, what did you want to know? Like, I want to know what people are searching for ChatGPT to surface me. Like, I think that's really cool.
Did you get the answer? What is it?
I mean, it's like, it's a lot more sort of like generic questions where they're not quite sure of exactly what the question is to ask, but like, I need help with this. This is where I'm stuck. Systems, processes, how to move forward. Company's been earning money, but I'm not growing. I need to scale. I know I need help, but I don't know who it is. I know I need someone to help me kind of move the business forward. Revenue has plateaued. They've got marketing, they've got courses, they've got offerings, but things are just and not growing. So it's sort of some collection of questions around that seems to surface my name, which is cool.
People are coming to you obviously with the pain point. You talked flat revenue, you talked about not being able to handle all of it or put all the pieces together. But what is the big burning pain that they have that they want to reach out to you to solve?
I usually come in at an inflection point when they are wanting to grow and don't know the way forward. or they know the way forward and they know that they can't do it all by themselves, or the courage. It's like sort of that idea of what has got you here will not be what gets you to your next phase of growth. And there's some self-awareness they're at that crossroads, or maybe someone's told them they're at that crossroads, or they've been in it for so damn long that it took them forever to figure it out. And finally they're like, okay, I actually can't do this on my own. But they're at some inflection point of knowing what they want, seeing what's ahead of them, having that vision, being the visionary and the CEO and the founder of their company. And it's out of reach and they can't get there alone. I would say that's like the underlying thing.
So how do you go about doing it? Do you break it down into how their business is operating currently to be able to look at streamlining it, gaining some efficiencies there, looking at how to delegate, who to bring on board? Like, what is the starting point that usually it gets you faster to solving the problem?
Well, I don't actually lean on speed because I want to be really thorough and I recognize that I'm coming in, and as a result of them bringing me on, there's change. There's uncertainty for some team members. It could be all for great things, but I want to make sure I build relationships with everyone and that people trust and like me, because I'm going to be rolling out and working with the CEO and founder to roll out some new things. So I ask a ton of questions. I am very, very nosy and very, very curious. How does this work? Why does it work like that? Who owns this? Who has eyes on this information? Who has access to this sort of stuff? It's not judgment. It's literally just understanding and trying to get up to speed as quickly as possible. Who owns the task? Who owns the outcome? Who owns the risk? Who has, who has access to this? How is it reported out? How are people being held accountable? What's the revenue pipeline? What's the full client life cycle? What does the funnel look like? What are the different touch points along the way? Of revenue, or as the client moves through an interest call, an onboarding call, signing, like all that kind of stuff. What sort of client retention happens? What's the marketing? What are your courses? What are your offerings? What's the value? I do just like the full Joanna listening tour to get as much 360 on everything. I will talk to as many team members as it makes sense, asking about their role, what's sticky, what's working for them. Okay, this thing that's stuck, what would you do differently? You're in it every single day. Like, what would be your recommendation? Doesn't mean we're going to do it, but just they have way more experience doing that one thing. So I definitely appreciate and value that input. Asking about, again, not like judging, but just, okay, your reporting structure, your communication structure, like your relationship with your manager, your relationship if you manage someone, like what is that like? Again, where are people stuck? Where are we stuck? What do you think could be better? Or how could we, are you in the right seat in the company? Or do you have things in your responsibilities that don't make the most sense either for personality or just for the process? It's like, wait, why does that sit here? That should be over here. How does left hand and right hand talk? Okay, that needs to happen. So I just do a big Joanna listening tour before I come in with ideas or suggestions to help me sort of diagnose and audit a little bit and get, that 360 perspective. And then from there, come up with, there's always phases. I'm like, okay, this first, and then we'll tackle this. We need to do this before that. Let's do this, have this unfold, have people get comfortable with it. And then I think on the back of this, then we can roll out this other thing. So it's like, that's why it's not speedy, because I want to be not right per se, but I want it to be good and I want it to be effective. And so I'd much rather take a little bit of time to get to know and build some of that trust. And, if someone says X, Y, Z thing, I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you were just talking about, because I was just talking to the other person who sits on the other end of that, pipeline of clients or whatever.
Yeah. You're dealing with the culture too. You're not just dealing with widgets here. You're dealing with individuals and addressing their productivity and their perspective and their motivation to excel.
And their personalities and
And the personalities, right? For sure. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have like a case study that you could share of how this worked in real life?
Sure. I got a lot of
Okay.
Yeah, I would say I have a bunch of case studies. I love all the people I've worked with. So yeah, one woman that I worked with a couple of years ago was had a digital media marketing company, and she was expanding her markets and expanding. So she was expanding team. Her team was not quite the right fit for what she had, just personality wise and responsibilities. And she was also looking to, so she is in the talent management space. So also looking to grow her roster and add on more talent that she would represent, which meant going into new markets, expanding into new niches, and hiring more team to help manage that, which then would put into place, like she needed more of an org chart, because it wasn't flat per se, but it was just like her and then a few people. But she needed to build out senior leaders, some regular communications plans. So and she was in business for, at that point, a few years. So she was also just new to entrepreneurship and a lot of stuff she was going through. You know, she started this company. It took off. It had legs. It was very successful. It had a lot of potential. She was able to bring a lot of her previous experience to it. So it was like easy to see where this could go. And now she's like soaring and it's amazing. And I love her dearly and I'm so proud of her. But the interim to help get there, part of sort of, I think, this unspoken thing about part of what they get when they hire me, it's a little bit of that sort of older sister, older cousin, you've been here, you've done this, like someone you may go to that you respect for some life advice, or you're just going through some tough times. And maybe they're like, you know, not 2 years older than you, but 10, 15 years older than you, like maybe your cool younger aunt kind of thing. So there's a little bit element of that, just like understanding life and like working through life. So when stuff gets thrown at you, for example, in this situation that I'm thinking of, she had a few team members who were not the right fit, culture-wise, responsibilities, expectations. It just wasn't aligning. Yeah. And so our time was spent figuring out, okay, what's the new organization going to look like? Who sits where? Who's a good fit? Okay, some people are going to be put on a PIP. Okay, you need to do some hiring, job descriptions. Where are you hiring from? Compensation. What's the responsibility? Okay, that may work for now, but will it work in 3 months? So let's plan a little bit into the future. And we were in the middle of the throes of all of that. And she had these 2 team members who were not the right fit, quit in very unprofessional, blaming fashion, just went out with gusto, you know, kind of on a Friday. She, I think, was traveling at her wedding. I mean, she was also having some like time off for some personal things, like personal things. Of course, it all just goes down at the same time. I think I was on vacation at the time. I can't remember, but right. That's how things happen. Sometimes the universe is like, well, I'll get them out of your way. It's going to be dramatic and chaotic, but I'll get them out of your way. So I say the example of, you know, I share that example because there was a little bit of just sort of that, like, I'm like, great, they're gone. That was easy. You know, you don't have to fire them. Like they left. But you know, in the moment, if you're not used to something like that, or it's the first time having team members leave or having it be super dramatic and worry about the rest of the team, you know, there's that panic where she called me and it was just kind of like, hey, it's cool. You're going to figure this out. I've been here before. This is your first time. So there's that sort of mentorship, kind of just older cousin, like, let me just, yeah, there's the work that we do, but it's like, you're a human, you're a female trying to figure out this. I got you. Like we can talk about life and I can tell you that it's going to be fine because I've been here before multiple times. I've survived. You're going to survive. I just have more life experience and more entrepreneurship experience than you. So we ended up, you know, building out her senior leadership team, establishing her communications plan so that people understood. And it was just clear lines of who was reporting to whom and what were the responsibilities and what were the check-in moments. So you didn't have to keep constantly texting updates, but it's like, oh, this is something that's saved for the regular standing Wednesday meeting. We worked on her interview and onboarding plan for new talent to make sure she had a tighter filter on who was a good fit for the agency and why, what was she looking for? How would she say no to people? How was she interviewing? Stretching out her interview process. Same for team and talent. I'm a firm believer in hiring slow and firing fast. You want to spend a lot more time on getting to know someone because it's a lot harder to fire someone when you're like, whoops, that was a red flag that I totally missed. So we worked on her interview and hiring for team and talent. and her onboarding and her training. We developed this whole like 2-week training program so people really got a full understanding of the culture and they were best set up to do their job after that training time. What else did we do? Yeah, I got to work with her for quite a while, and she is just a delight of a human. I adore her, and it's fabulous now to just see her soar. And yeah, she'll still talk to me about stuff. She'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm still doing this from working with you," or just like we still chat and stuff. And so have a good giggle over some crazy moments that seemed like the world was going to come to an end, but now she's like, "Oh, no big deal. Like I got this."
You're not just an operational, like, see, I'm hearing HR in there.
Yeah.
I'm hearing
Yep.
onboarding, which is CRM. It's almost like deceiving to say you're a CEO because
Yeah.
you are more, it sounds like to me, you're taking more of a 360 approach to how to improve their business and the different aspects. You can say it's operational, but I'm hearing HR in there. I'm hearing CRM, managing customer onboarding and retention strategy. Working in large corporations, they would have a head for each of those tasks, right? And what you're doing is you're wearing all of those hats, which makes sense because it's a small business.
Yep.
And you have the ability and the nimbleness and the wherewithal to be able to see it holistically. And that's really important as opposed to just narrowing it in. For large corporations where a person is always doing one function, they have like blinders on to be able to see the holistic view. So sometimes that's a detriment to somebody that's worked in large corporations and has not worked, on the ground, being able to really work with small businesses. You bring that value as well. I'm hearing from what you're telling me.
Yeah, it's definitely a Jill of all trades situation because the companies have been small. And you're right, in bigger companies, a bigger corporation, a corporation, I would not be a good fit for so many reasons. But it's just that it's like I do a lot of different things because I come on board at such an early inception stage of the company that, yeah, I am doing a little HR. Yeah, I am doing a little life coaching. Yeah, I am doing a little mentorship and like leadership training and team training and structure and SOPs and thinking about, this, that, and the other. And like, okay, how's it tied into the sales pipeline and all the different bits and bobs. So yeah, definitely wear a lot of hats.
Yeah. Awesome. And if you were to look at the timelines, the average timeline that somebody comes in, they need your expertise to be able to get unstuck and to scale. Do you look at it more like a project? I help you figure out how to drive the bus better, and then I hand you the keys? Or do you keep the keys as part of we're a co-pilot to keep this going?
The latter. Definitely prefer the latter versus the former. I have done the former where I've just come in, I've helped improve things, set up systems, XYZ, all that kind of stuff. And then it's like, great, here you go. I'll train your team. I'll train you. And then I pass it up. I've definitely done things like that. Yeah, I guess they'd probably be more project-based, but it's an understanding of I'm in for 3 or 6 months to help, again, identify, diagnose, do the audit, figure out a plan. And then also just, I don't want to just dump the plan and then leave, but like help roll out the plan and make sure it's integrated and working. And, do we work out all the kinks and anticipate all the kinks? Then there's some other clients where I am both creating the strategy and then implementing the strategy and staying around on a longer term basis to be, to continue to be part of the team.
So how are you compensated? Are you ever compensated by percentage of productivity or results, or just an hourly? If somebody wanted to hire you, or even any fractional, what is the kind of compensation and pay structure that they would?
Yeah, it's not a percentage. I work off retainer.
Okay.
So I have 3 different options for people depending on just how much involvement, how much of my time am I helping to create the plans and then they're rolling it out. Am I helping to implement and roll some of it out? Or I have the highest plan option to work with me where it's like I kind of come in as it's the closest you'll get to having a COO where I'm sort of like a regular team member with your company. So it's really just depending on how much of my time and how much execution do people want from me.
Now, you work with women entrepreneurs, and I don't know how much exposure you had working with men, but Do you see differences in how women entrepreneurs approach leadership, delegation, and scaling?
Well, I can't compare because I don't have a lot to compare to from a business lens, but I read a ton. I'm in the communities. I'm in the conversations with a ton of my friends are female entrepreneurs. Um, I do personal development things on my own to go to conferences and just make sure I'm like learning and sitting in rooms that are new to me to expose me to new things. And yeah, women definitely operate differently than men. In some ways, it is to our detriment. And in some ways, it is our greatest asset that isn't taken as seriously. We have, I think, so much more compassion and understanding that the people we're working with are humans. And so, I hear how you said it before, but it's like people are not just robots. I'm not just going to roll out a bit of a plan and I'd be like, okay, do X, Y, Z. But, just understanding, having a little bit of empathy. And I think having a higher EQ as well is part of the work that we do. It really comes in handy and helps us build relationships better, build deeper relationships, and have those connections because, you happen to call a woman, it's like, oh, I love your lipstick, or like, where'd you get those earrings from? Right. It's like, or you're at a conference and you're like, I love your shoes. Like, are they comfortable? We just connect in ways, and people are sharing, if you have a bunch of mom entrepreneurs, they're sharing conversations around how they are managing it and navigating it and their kids and stuff. Or if you have women who are, childless, or, not just in different stages of their life, it's like there's so many other things to just connect and talk about. And so I think women are really good about doing that at events and just in like, business capacity. I think that we are not as open to taking risk as men are. I think part of it is just how we are trained, the conversations we're in, the culture, the community, right? It's like, how many women VCs are there and how many women receive funding? Like all those stats are true for a reason. And I think a lot of it too is just men like taking a risk or doing something for their company to up-level their company. It's an investment. And if they lose money, okay, fine, but go on and just find somewhere else to go make money. And I lost that funder's money. It just didn't work out. And they'll go on to the next thing, whereas women take a lot more, instead of going, well, what's the upside of this? I was at a conference recently where they talked about this perspective and this idea around capital and how women think of capital as a noun and men think of it as a verb. And I cannot stop thinking about this concept. It was Eleanor Bean with Sappy Media. I have to give her full credit for it. But it was this idea of like, for women, capital sits in our bank. It's in our savings. It's in our business savings account for a rainy day, just in case things don't work out. And it just sits there on the chance that things might not work out. Whereas for men, capital is an investment. Going to launch a new app, going to invest in a platform, going to hire, going to invest in some new technologies. So they deploy capital, and women, for us, it's a noun. So I think that is a big difference. That is to a bit of a detriment to women because we aren't as inclined to take business risk when it comes to spending and investing capital.
Right. And if you don't invest, that slows the economic stimulus. So if we're not investing, then losing the opportunity to really gain in financially growing our businesses. And without financing, it really impedes our ability to make a bigger impact on the world and on the economy. And right. I mean, I'm a businesswoman. I love women entrepreneurs, but if I'm going to sell and I want to close and I want to make big deals, I shy away from women entrepreneurs sometimes because I know that they are so risk adverse and they need a lot more hand holding. And for a man, they're more willing to jump into it, take the risks. And if they try, not right. But then also, I think their loyalty isn't as strong as women is. So, if you do get the opportunity to really partner with an amazing woman entrepreneur, and she's willing to take some of the risk, she's probably also more loyal in saying, I mean, there's no stats on this, so I'm just throwing it out there, but maybe more loyal to working within her inner community than men are. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's true. There's also the boys club too. So maybe that's a pie in the sky kind of thing. We work very hard as women entrepreneurs, and we work very hard in building our skills and investing in ourselves and getting some visibility. And it can be distracting, discouraging when you are dismissed, the margins aren't there, or they're not willing to invest because they're so risk adverse. So then you have to almost oversell yourself in order so that they can see the value. What are your thoughts about that?
Can you pull up the question there? Because I have a couple different thoughts on it.
Okay,
so I want to make sure I go in the right direction.
Yeah.
There's a lot to say there.
So when it comes to speaking the numbers and speaking where the value is and getting where you can get a return, a woman being more risk adverse is going to be slow to jump onto that opportunity than a man would. And so when you have worked hard as a woman entrepreneur to be able to sell in your services, if you're dealing with a woman, the sales cycle may be a lot slower, maybe because they're more risk adverse and the opportunity less than with the man that is more aggressive and has a bigger budget. And that, I think, the gender view, the gender differences is what can impede a woman from just wanting to work with other women.
Yeah, I think men are a lot quicker to make financial decisions and not weigh the emotion and the weight around it, and do not look at it as like, oh, what if this doesn't work? Shoot, I lost how much money? Which is what women think. Whereas men are like, well, what's the upside of this? What's the return? What am I going to get out of this? They're not, there's no guy. I mean, there are men, but like generally speaking, I don't think men are like, gosh, what happens if this doesn't work? They're thinking that, but that's what women think, right? They're like, oh, this is my founder's money. And it's, they worked hard for it. And men are just like, it's capital. It comes and it goes. It's cash. I'll go make more of it, And so I think they're a lot more decisive around investing and opportunities for investment for their company. And I think, Joanna, that same vein, that whole meme or trope around, have the confidence of like a mediocre white guy in his 20s. Yeah, you meet some guy who's like in college. We get all these pitches on LinkedIn. I'm sure you get them in your DMs as well. Of people like, oh, I just created this platform. I have, I've just exited my company and I just got another $1 billion of funding and I made this thing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're like not even half my age and you're still in college and you just did this in your like incubator thing because you took an entrepreneurship class for one semester and you have funding. It's like, it blows my mind. But just the ability to like own the space and lean in. That's not how women operate. That's just not how we're wired. It feels a little cringy when you get those DMs, but there is something to be said for just that confidence and self-assuredness. Like it'll get you somewhere.
There, though. Do you think we could work on our mindset to be a little bit more assertive, aggressive, less of that imposter syndrome where we're doubting ourselves, even though women have so many talents. And as you said, we've got the empathy. We can build strong teams. We've got that connection to be able to cultivate relationships more easily. And yet we're not bringing always those strengths and have it complemented with the ability to be confident in making decisions more quickly.
Yeah, I think it's changing. I have to be optimistic and hopeful. Having more women, in charge of as on boards and as board chairs, companies, it's facts. Companies have a better return on their investment when they have women leading the charge and heading up companies and corporate boards. So I think that the facts are there. And I know I'm talking about this. I'm 47. I'm talking about this more than I ever have before with any female entrepreneurs. And I'm seeing this in more conversations and discussions and at conferences and in content and themes. So I have to hope and believe. And also just looking down and seeing younger generations who are approaching business and life way differently. I'm Gen X, way differently than I did. And I'm like, yes, thank you. That is fabulous. So yeah, no, I absolutely think that we're heading in the right direction. Is it slow? Of course, but we're human, so we don't do anything fast.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe it's, that old school thing is that we're the nurturers because we're the ones that are, take care of the young. We invest more into the family, especially when children are really young, which I think is critical for their growth. And so our priorities may be different from men.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not saying that we should really change all that. I mean, I think that women need to play a really strong role in those early stages of development, and both parts play an important.
Absolutely.
So if there was anything, final questions around helping women entrepreneurs in their operations to not get so overwhelmed and feel stuck, what would be one or two words of wisdom that you would share?
It is never too early to ask for help. It is never too early to ask for help. Yeah, you may think, oh, I'm not there yet, but investing in your business by hiring experts to help you with things on a fractional basis, part-time, full-time, project, contractor, whatever it is, but hiring good people, you cannot get there by yourself. You cannot get there by yourself. You are your own limit and your own bottleneck. And so the earlier that you accept that and reach out for help and invest in your company by bringing in experts and like making quick decisions. I love the CEOs and founders that I work with who make decisions quickly, even if they don't know what the answer is, and even if they don't know what the path looks like, but they just decide to decide. I'm like, oh, they're the ones who are doing things. They're the ones who stuff keeps coming to them. Gosh, they're really having a streak of good luck. It's like, no, they have been working hard on this behind the scenes, and they have been rewarded, the universe rising up to meet them when they are standing up to the plate to say, okay, I'm ready. I don't know what this looks like, but I'm ready. That is like one of the biggest,
right? That's a mindset.
Totally.
To alter and this kind of builds on what we've already been talking about, is altering that mindset and being comfortable and confident and being able to make decisions. And maybe that's a little more clarity. Maybe that's, as you said, reaching out. Don't be afraid to reach out to ask the question.
Yep.
And to connect with people and to, have those conversations. So thank you so much. So we have one final question that we always ask our guests is, what does prosper with purpose mean for you?
Intentionality. I try to be really intentional with my decisions, with my choices, where I spend my time and energy and money and who I surround myself with. So that's what that means to me. To prosper with purpose is to be really intentional and deliberate in my choices and actions.
Great. Thank you. And if somebody wants to learn more about you, Johanna Voss, and about your services and what you're offering, and I understand you have a workshop as well that you're launching or is ongoing, depending on where you're hearing this podcast. But if you want to share with our listener.
Yes, absolutely. So, of course, ask Claude and ChatGPT about me. I have my website, johannavoss.com, JOHANNAV as in victory, OSS. I have a Substack. I'm on LinkedIn. You can Google my name and hopefully you should be pointed in the right direction. And I do have a monthly webinar that I'm doing. There's more information on that on my LinkedIn, June through November 2026. That is designed it's under the hood. So every month I'm going to be tackling different things that I see in my clients as a COO and coming in to help. So I'm going to be tackling different topics and talking through how I handle those different problems and find solutions.
Awesome. I will put that also in the notes with the podcast.
Thank you, ma'am.
If somebody wants to reach out to you. Thank you again, Joanna, for being a guest on Jump Into It. And thank you for joining us. Our next show will have another fabulous guest whose journey is sure to inspire you. You can listen to Jump Into It podcast on your favorite platform. We are on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts, to name a few. With the courage and clarity to bring your ideas to life, be ready to jump into it. Thank you for listening.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. At Jump Into It, we empower business owners, marketers, and entrepreneurs to turn vision into momentum. Ready to supercharge your marketing? Grab the Jump Into Breakthrough Marketing Guide, available on Amazon and audiobook platforms. Cut through the guesswork and start building strategies that deliver real results. Ready to take it further? Join our expert-led training and breakthrough tools you can use right away. Don't miss out. Tune into our podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple TV for exclusive insights and inspiration. Stay ahead of the game. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. With the confidence and knowledge to bring your ideas to life, get ready to jump into it.